president that is there today, how many years has he stayed? 2 years. And you could see where we are. Look at the turn of things in 2 years. That means that you can change things in 2 years. If I was there in 2 years, Charles, that you would have seen considerable change. In critical areas, I would have tackled corruption head-on. I would have reduced cost of governance. And you will see it. People will feel it. And those monies invested in critical areas. Our primary health care today, I told you, 70% are not functional. And we spent over 35 billion in conference center. Which conference? Who is coming for the conference? You need to invest your money properly. Just you have been seeing borrowed money invested in critical area. We, a country in Bangladesh with 148,000 square kilometers of land, is producing about 60 million metric tons of rice. And us, with over 6 times that size of land, cannot do 10% of that. You talked about devaluation of Naira. There's nothing wrong in devaluation. I would have done something. I would have allowed the Naira to float. But I would have done it in an organized manner. There will be productivity. The idea of devaluing your currency, allowing it to float, to be cheaper, is that you have productivity so you can export, so people can come and buy. But when you don't have productivity and you devalue your currency, it's double whammy because you have nothing to sell. So I would have injected money in productivity. Today, nobody is producing anything. Somebody told me a few days ago, said, oh, they've removed there's no more tax or this, or some of the manufacturing inputs and everything. And all. I said, that's no. How can you manufacture? How can you do business when your interest rate is over 40%? Yeah, one of the biggest costs of manufacturing today, cost of production today, is interest rate. Just nobody borrows money at over 40% to do a business that is shared. You can only borrow it. It's only government that is borrowing that amount of money at that cost. So you need to do the right things, and you can do it.
Are you going to stick with the Labour Party, given the disarray that's in the party?
The disarray is caused by government.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter who caused
No, that's what I'm telling you. Yes.
Are you going to stick
I'm in Labour Party. I'm in Labour Party.
And are you going to stick with the Labour
Well, I'm there because I'm there. It's not something I can tell you now. I am there today. And as time go on, Charles, if it changes, I'll tell you. But I'm a member of Labour Party. And these are one of the things I said I would do. I will make sure that parties work. I will protect democracy and make it work.
Some would say Labour Party isn't working under you.
No, it has nothing to do under me. I'm not the one running the party. Charles, I've been involved in all this. If government today is democratic and they want democracy to thrive, all these things will work.
Right.
Put me anywhere.
So you can only make the change if you're president.
I've told you, Charles, I saw this we had a problem under Yaradua, for example, in my party. He told it, in front of me, he told the INEC chief, I don't want all these party issues in front of me. I want it to happen. I don't want all this. So you have to say you're democratic, practice it, believe in it, whether it favors you or not. Because that's what you want. You want to build a better, decent society that is organized. Whatever realignments, whatever coming together, we must discuss the future of this country. We're not just going to, I'm not going to be part of just wrestling power for power's sake. No. I want to know that we're going to do this in order to be able to invest in education, invest in health, invest in pulling our people out of poverty. How can a country with this size of uncultivated land not be able to feed itself. Somebody who makes dollar at 300 and something, 400, is now 1,005. Charles is done fantastic. Same in fuel, same in everything, same in unemployment, you know, everywhere, in terms of democracy, in terms of everything, is in on the sliding side. And that is doing well, because that's what he promised. When you talk about improvement, there are not things you say. There are things people feel. There are things people see. There are things that, it's just like when you talk about, I've listened to people say jobs are being created. Where are the jobs? You know, if you talk about job creation anywhere in the world, you see the figures. If you talk about improvement in education, you see it. Improvement in health, improvement in this. If you say the government is now doing the right thing, the democratic, the this, you will see it. You just mentioned River State. So where is it? So we can see it. It's not a question of going to say, oh, investors are coming back. Where are the investors? Where are they investing? Companies are closing down. They're leaving. Local companies, manufacturing is going south. So where is it? Nigerians are not saying it. I am one politician that moves around in Nigeria, and I know the feeling of the people.
Yeah, but what about prices in the market? I mean, there have been some, maybe not enormous reductions, but there have been some significant reductions, even in fuel, for example, petrol prices. I mean,
where did we start?
They've fluctuated a little, but they've come down.
Charles, where did we start? We started at about 200 to over 1,000, and now it's slightly below 1,000. You have to look at where we started. You didn't just say, oh, it's coming down. No, where did we start? What has changed? Consider the income of the average Nigerian. Those who are fortunate to have a job. What it now tells them if they're buying fuel. Let's take fuel subsidy, which they say there's huge savings. Where is the savings being challenged? If you are making a savings, you said, I want to save this money to be able to invest where? You have to invest in critical areas of development. And those critical areas of development are education, health, and pulling people out of poverty. Are we investing in it? This country has universal basic education. And we have over 20 million children out of school. That is the critical area. It is the basic education that is the critical area. We're not doing anything in it. Just today, I visited an IDP camp. There's over 40,000 people in IDP camps around Abuja. I'm not talking outside Abuja. The one I visited is in Abuja. With over 4,000, they don't have a primary health care.
4,000 or 40,000?
Over 4,000.
Right.
40,000 around Abuja. But 4,000 in this particular facility.
Right, okay.
They don't have a primary health care. They don't have a primary school. They used to have a primary school, which was there by UNICEF. It's closed down for the past 3 years. The kids are there. There's no primary school. There's no health care. So, if you don't have that in Abuja, where do you have it? Where? And this is the one you said is free. Free and compulsory. So where are you investing the money? You have said, I'm removing this. You have to sacrifice. You have to suffer. Where are you investing it? It has to be clear. It has to be verifiable. It has to be visible. People have to see it. They have to feel it. Well, I have said it and I maintain there's no democracy in Nigeria today. Nigeria today is not a democratic country. Let's stop telling ourselves lies. If you look at all the tenets, look at all the yardstick of measuring democracy, it doesn't exist here. Simple definition. democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. Today, the government we have is not of the people. It's not by the people because the people didn't vote. It wasn't their votes. I'm not just talking about presidency. Across the line, look at what happened in Edo. Can you call that democracy? It is not vote of the people. And it's not for the people. I've just told you that I went to an IDP camp where we have thousands of people, no primary health care. They were begging me to have one nurse, which I said I must make sure I bring. They don't even have primary school, which again I told them I will make sure it happens. So what are you doing? For a country that just spent 21 billion naira to renovate a house for the vice president, which is not, hasn't packed in, is not living there. And you cannot even have a primary school for kids who are going to be leaders of Nigeria tomorrow. For people who pass through the same process, tonight deny these kids this opportunity today. So it is not a democratic country. So it's not for the people. You can't have a democracy without a functional and effective legislature, which you know we don't have today. You can't have a democracy without, again, an independent judiciary that fights for the common person. I can go on and on. In a democracy, it is clear. There's guidelines. Even when you set for people vying for election, like in Nigerian case, you have to talk about people must be qualified. They must have primary school, secondary school, university, and must attain certain age. Charles, that is not happening today. People are with unverified, forged certificates all over the place, criminal records and everything, and they're in charge. So you cannot say that. It is, yes, maybe we're striving to be a democratic country, but the way we are today is not. Look at what happened in Rivers that you mentioned. Can you call that democracy? There's no freedom of speech. And you know that yourself. And I can tell you, and there's so many people who are being detained in one place or the other because they've made one statement. When you go for an exam and you score 10%, it's a fail. I'm just giving you the real measure of democracy. We failed in all of them. So it doesn't exist. You know where we're headed. It will get worse. And when it gets worse, we're now going to threaten to a state of nature, of anarchy, where anybody can do anything you want. Everything is collapsing. Even when the people who are supposed to be seeing it are not seeing it. But you can see the negative impact in all the critical areas, even the education you mentioned, when you said people are being given scholarship to go to school.
Student loans.
Student loans. What is happening in our universities, Charles? Our universities now are politicized, where appointments for management of universities are now political. You now fail local government election, you're appointed on your university board, university governing board, where vice chancellors, they even have been appointed without merit and everything. And the consequences that you see universities now giving honorary degree to all manner of character of people. It is not about me. I'm one with the people. They can say anything they like. You know, when you are in government, you claim anything. But I deal with the reality. The reality is that things are headed south. Go and check all indices of development anywhere. I've told you what is improving. Is our literacy level improving? Is our health condition improving? Even them that are in government don't even go to hospitals here. So that shows that it's not even improving. The same thing goes. Are people being pulled out of poverty? There's still hunger everywhere. Is the agricultural produce increasing? Is manufacturing increasing? No. So where is it? The first thing you can say that you have a government is security of life and property, rule of law. This is an intangible asset that you cannot ignore. It is critical. People go where there's law and order. Nobody goes where there's chaos. Where do you see the rule of law? You are here. You don't need to. I don't need anybody to tell you. You see it every day. You cannot take the action that have been taken in Rivers State for what happened. There's a clear path to dealing with that issue. Rivers State, for the past 2 years, have become ungovernable for obvious political reasons and interests, which shouldn't be in a democratic environment. It's clear. It shouldn't be. I have been a governor, and I have left government, had issue with the person who had replaced me, with my successor. But for God's sake, the state is far more important than anybody. We have a governor who have been sworn in as the governor. He should be allowed to govern. What happened in Rivers State is very unfortunate and is impacting very negatively to the little or remaining inkling or democratic space we had. He eroded a lot from there. So, as for intimidating the governors for 2027, it shouldn't be. The governors are going to seek re-election. You're going to seek re-election. You're going to seek re-election based on what you've been able to do, your performance. On Nigerians, the governors just have one vote. It is because of what I told you that it is not a democratic country that you are trying to intimidate the governors. It's because it's not a democratic setting. Very unfortunate. That's why I said there's no functional legislature. So before I go into the opposition, there were, even in the House of Representatives, a particular Labour member did everything possible to ensure that the right thing was done by ensuring that it is not a voice vote, that is a vote that must be properly recorded. Because he said no opposition, at least from Labour, at least, and there were others like that, they were shouted down. Even at the Senate, there were voices like that, like former governor of Bayelsa State, former governor of Sokoto State. There were voices. The Nigerian political space was designed not to have opposition. Opposition doesn't exist here, Charles. If you want to look at where opposition exists, you compare us with other countries with similar trajectory. People have called me and said, look at what the oppositions are doing in South Africa. Look at what the oppositions are doing in other similar countries. But let's just use South Africa, which is, of course, the biggest economy in Africa today. And what they are doing, they have presidential system, but have been able to have a system that allows opposition to exist in their system. You cannot have opposition that is effective unless you have proportional representation in the legislature. If you don't have it, you're wasting your time. If you look at South Africa today, as it is. Just check their election in 2019. ANC won 57.7% of the vote. They had 230 members. 2019, they had 40%. They had 160 members. While Democratic Alliance in 2019 had 20%, they had 80 people. In 2024, they had 21 plus, almost 22. They had 87 members. And that is the same thing for all other parties. And their leader is a member of that parliament. And you cannot cross from one party to the other, as you can do in Nigeria, without consequences. Once you cross from one party to the other, you lose your seat. Just even in the environment you know very well, the UK, you cannot have somebody from one party cross over to the other party without any consequence, without anything, and all that. So you have a system that works. And nobody's going to allow your member using contract, using this and all that, as is happening here. So it's a difficult thing. That's why we are clamoring that we must now change this constitution. We must now build a viable system. People have asked me, Peter, what are you going to do if you were there? I will make sure that this country is democratic. I will make sure that the opposition thrives by ensuring that I direct whoever and put all my own resources in terms of office to ensure that parties function the way they should. Today, they don't do that. You just have people doing all sorts of things in terms of, as I said, there's no democracy here. We need to fix it. Yar'Adua started doing it. He was sworn in here as the president, and he said, I will not allow the process through which I came to office to continue. I was a beneficiary of it, Charles. I had a free and fair second-term election. And that's what it should be. But instead of now having it growing the way you think things will be, we've taken 300 degrees reverse. I'm one person who is very reluctant at talking about 2027. I'll just probably gloss over it. Because we have a critical situation, Charles, where we're not addressing it. We have a country where our debt in 2015 is between 15 and 17 trillion. Now we have a country with a debt of 150 to 170 trillion. A country where our cost of debt servicing is now higher than our critical areas of budget for critical development, education, health, pulling people out of poverty. And we are discussing 2027. Elections are won, elections are lost by the vote of the people. All these things you're talking and all these things people are talking is because we are not democratic. Charles, we are talking of working together for the sake of the country, not because of political posts. I've said it before.
But if you don't have political power, you won't be able to change the country.
Charles, I agree with that. That's why I've always said, I'm not desperate to be president. I'm desperate to see Nigeria work. Charles, it is all these alliances, all these groupings that brought us to where we are today. Because people were blinded. Instead of seeing what they would do to make the country work, make the country productive, they were focused on wrestling power. What are we going to use the power to do? It is not enough that your aides are running around. You who is the main person, have to have an idea, be competent, have the capacity, have the compassion, the energy to do the job. It is not something you can lease out. Governance, leadership, is not something you can just hire somebody else to do for you. You are the leader. You should be the one answerable to the people, doing the right things.
Right. Okay. We've got a couple of minutes left before we have to go, which is rather sad because I'm enjoying talking with you. Before we go, after what's been clearly a rather depressing discussion about the future of Nigeria, cheer us up with one thing that could make this country look better to the world.
Well, Charles, I wish I can tell you. The only thing I can tell you is that it is what is happening can be turned around with a competent leader that has the capacity and compassion to serve. Because we have low-hanging fruits. There's nothing in following the rule of law. There's nothing in ensuring orderliness. There's nothing in fighting corruption. You know, people say it's difficult. It is not. If you are not involved, you reduce it by 50%. There's nothing in investing in critical areas of development. We're borrowing money. Every left, right, and center. Invest that money properly. Tell Nigerians, come out, Charles, leaders come out every day and address their people. I will make sure I address Nigerians at least once every month and tell them what is happening. They want to know. I want to visit universities and tell them what is happening. I want to tour the states and see for myself what is happening. That's what it should be. We can change it. It's happened before.
So, let's talk about Project Eagle. What is Project Eagle? How is it that Project Eagle can completely check election rigging in Nigeria? How? Why is it that Peter Obi or any other opposition candidate for that matter, indeed, any patriotic Nigerian needs Project Eagle to successfully check election rigging in Nigeria? How? Let us break down the different components of Project Eagle. First of all, Project Eagle is a 7-action plan project to stop election rigging in Nigeria. 7-action plan, starting from 1 right through to 7. Each of these action plans contributes to stopping one particular strategy of election rigging in Nigeria. I'll run through it. Number 1 is electoral reforms. And here, clearly, what we need is along the lines of Electoral Act amendment to make sure that it is mandatory for INEC to transmit election results real time from the polling units straight to the National Collation Center and then published instantly, real time, collated automatically. The manual thing should just be for backup and for administrative purposes. This is the very first action plan. Electoral reforms or electoral amendments. Now, this one depends on the people in National Assembly, on Tinubu's boys there. Now, number 2 through to 7 do not. Second action plan is political party reforms. We as Nigerians must ask ourselves this question. Are we going to wait until election day for us to stop rigging? If we wait for election day is it not already too late to stop rigging? If we are going to prevent rigging, it must start now. We must put measures in place to make sure that rigging is impossible on election day. And the second action plan that we must engage in is political party reforms. Right now, the way the political parties are structured, ask yourself, can you, watching this video, pay for the nomination forms of any of these political parties, even when they say it is free? Can you? The fact that you need a lot of money to run elections in Nigeria is because of the political parties. If the political parties are sincere enough to say nomination form is free, we won't give forms to any member of the party that has not been a member for at least 2 years, so that at least you guard and shield off the political vultures that decamp during party primaries. If a political party decides that our mode of primaries is going to be direct primaries, so you eliminate the bottleneck of delegates, which is where corruption actually starts again. Do you think that if these are done at the political parties, do you think that people will be able to now force themselves as political godfathers on political parties? They won't. Do you think that it is only people who have stolen or people who know people who have stolen that will now be able to run for elections? Do you think so? So we need political party reforms. We need to call on the political parties to do the right thing. No political party should charge fees for nomination form. This is why people are running away to look for new political parties to register. If the APC and the PDP and the Labour Party and the political parties as we have them right now create level playing field for all Nigerians, such that you don't need to pay for nomination forms, you don't need the delegate system or consensus system where the corrupt people gather themselves together and they plan their state capture. If we have a level playing field where the primaries are direct, where even the primary elections are electronic, such that even Nigerians in diaspora can participate from wherever they are in the world. If we had that, do you think that people will be looking to create new political parties? If they do, it will be minimal and it will be based on ideological differences. But right now, the APC, the PDP, the Labour Party, just name it, they are gatekeepers for shielding off Nigerians with good intention but shallow pockets. They are gatekeepers. So apart from number one, electoral amendment, we need to engage number two, to call for political party reforms. We need that. Number three is, if we have the Electoral Act passed and it is amended to make electronic transmission of results, electronic collation of results, and real-time publishing or display of the results from the polling unit, it is passed. That is going to be a tall order because it is Tinubu's boys you have in the National Assembly. But we can make them do what we want because power ultimately belongs to the people, even though it seems they have hijacked it. Now, even if we get the Electoral Act amended and passed, and we are able to get Tinubu to assent to it, yeah? And then we get the political parties to engage in a reform. Does that mean that we as Nigerians will now sit down and say, yes, we have done it, let INEC now do the right thing? No. We will take it a step further and go to the third action plan, which is real-time election monitoring from our end with polling unit marshals. It means that we must have an application that helps us as Nigerians to collate, first of all, get the results from the polling units, and then we collate that result, and then we transmit it on our website parallel to that of INEC, such that ours will even be faster than that of INEC. That is the third action plan. And we need both technology and people for this to happen, this third step. The technology will be a web application that we have called Vote Vision. But the people, we will need a network of volunteers that will form the polling unit marshals. The polling unit marshals, 600,000 of them, networked across the 189,000 polling units in Nigeria, will be the foundation for entering the polling unit results from the polling unit into Vote Vision, where Vote Vision will automatically collate that result and display it real time in a website that we shall make available. So Vote Vision with the polling unit marshal forms the third action plan, which is real-time election monitoring. And with that, we can put INEC in check. Now, what happens if INEC decides to do their normal wuru-wuru, and then the security agencies decide to turn their normal blind eye, and the thugs come and do their magic, disrupt the things in the collation center like they normally do, and then because they come shooting guns in the air, disrupting people, and people being afraid for their lives, run, and a running man cannot be videoing. The situation now becomes such that there are no evidence. You don't actually capture the voices, the faces of anybody who is actually doing these things. Then the police will now say there's no evidence. Then you will actually not now have evidence to take in court. You will now need to rely on INEC for the arsenal to defend your case in court. No tenable or admissible evidence can be got when thugs come into collation centers and vote polling units shooting in the air. And that is why we need the fourth action plan, which is actually designed to help capture evidence as we go, such that once the election has ended, we have all the evidence, both in video, both in pictures, both in audio, both in data, to go to court the very next day. And the evidence will be so airtight that the judiciary will have no leeway, nowhere to hide to declare a wrong election as valid. Right now, they have always succeeded to tell us, go to court, because they know that we don't have sufficient admissible evidence to present. That was what we suffered in 2023. And even Peter Obi has admitted it. Many notable Nigerians have admitted it. But what have we done to make sure that once the election closes, we have all the legal admissible evidence that we need to defend the election results in court? Because with the third action plan, Vote Vision, we have all the data evidence to go to court. But with the fourth action plan, which is actually the Camp Guard is miniature Wi-Fi cameras that have batteries built in to last 24 hours and are even able to work with solar. They are so small, they are the size of my fingertips, such that you can just take one or two of them and put them in places you can't even know, in the polling unit area or in the collation center area. So that is the Camp Guard. And guess what? We have an app to aggregate the real-time transmitted video evidence, picture evidence, and audio evidence from those Camp Guards. At least, minimum, we will have over 10,000 of those Camp Guards, because we have over 901 wards. So our focus primarily will be at the collation centers from the ward level up. But Once we have, or if we have the resources, we will take it beyond that and take it to as many of the polling units as possible. And then we'll have a situation whereby these Wi-Fi cameras are able to transmit real-time data into the web application that will help us aggregate the evidences, such that with the push of a button, the evidence is there for us to present. And working with the third action plan, which is the vote vision, we are able to see in real time, where do we have overvoting? Where do we have illegal voting? Where do we have over accreditation? We are able to see that all in real time. And when the discrepancies are actually very, very significant, we are seeing it real time. 2027 will not be the same with Project Eagle, particularly with the different action plan in it. So CamGuard will take care of evidence and ensure that the data we have from the third action plan, which is vote vision, is admissible in court to defend our mandate, the mandate of the people. Now, the fifth action plan is de-weaponizing poverty in Nigeria. Poverty has been weaponized by the ruling elites to make sure that the poor continue to look up to them for welfare. And so, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So if the hungry people that they have made, that their policies have made, see that the only way they get help is through the same corrupt politicians, what will happen? The same hungry people will do the bidding of the same corrupt politicians. That's what will happen. What will happen will be more of vote selling. You'll be wondering, why will people sell their votes for 1,000 naira, for 500 naira, for 10,000 naira, for Indomie? Why? It's because of the weaponization of poverty. And guess what? That is what the Well Fund tackles. Well Fund tackles the weaponization of poverty. We de-weaponize poverty with Well Fund. And it is simple. It is a welfare for swamming swap. It is a teach the people to fish rather than give them fish. It is a different approach. Well Fund. The politicians think that when it is election time, they can take a small portion of their stolen wealth, take a small portion of it and use it to dangle baits, dangle palliatives in front of the people. And a hungry man thinks with his stomach, not with his brain. No matter how much we abuse Nigerians, that, oh, why don't they get smart enough to know they cannot sell their votes? No matter how much we do that, they will still sell it if they are hungry. So we need a weapon to de-weaponize the weaponized poverty. And that weapon is Well Fund. Teaching people to fish rather than the option of corrupt politicians giving them palliatives during election time. Palliatives that will not last them even a day, not to talk of 4 years. So we have to take tackle the problem head on from the source. We can't wait for election day. Like I said earlier, if we wait for election day, it is already too late. Well Fund takes care of that. Then number 6, which is the sixth action plan, is law patrol. One of the first things they do is to destroy the rule of law and to destroy due process. And how do they destroy the rule of law? They make pursuit of justice to be very, very expensive and takes a lot of energy. So many times in Nigeria, when Nigerians have their rights violated, because they don't have the financial capacity, they don't have the time because they have to work, they don't have the time to begin to pursue a case, they don't have the mind and the mental capacity, they just leave it like that. And because they leave it, what happens? Impunity continues to reign. We need to be able to come together to be able to defend the rights of Nigerians. If we fight individually, it becomes weak. What happens when they pick a very dark man or they pick an ordinary Ahmed Issa. When we act individually, you know how a broom is. It is easy for a person, even a child, to just break the broomstick. But when we band together like a broom, even the strongest Iron Man or Superman cannot break the broom. We need to come together to fight breach of the rule of law, disrespect for the rule of law. We need to come together, and that is what Law Patrol does. When we fight this breach of the rule of law together, we take power from corrupt people and we bring everybody to be subject to the law, which is what rule of law is supposed to do in the first place. So that is the 6th action plan. The 7th action plan combines all of these into a political party that is actually a grassroots political engine. And that is the Abundance Party. We must form a party that creates a level playing field for all Nigerians. If not, what we'll have will be a recycling of the same political vampires. We don't want that. There are 2 things we must take into consideration in 2027. Peter Obi winning the election is just one part of the victory that Nigeria needs. The second part is all of the National Assembly members, all of the senators, all of the House of Rep members, the state houses of assembly, the governors, they also must be checked. In fact, the ones that are there right now, the likes of Akpabio, they must not return. And the only way we can ensure that and guarantee that is to make sure that we have a political party like Abundance Party. And we need you to make this possible. So these are the 7 action plan that constitutes Project Eagle. Tell me, with what I've said so far, do you think this can stop election rigging in Nigeria? Do you think this will help genuine candidates like Peter Obi to guarantee their victory in 2027? Do you think this will help the people to open up the political space such that people with integrity can participate? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. But then again, there is a way to maximize the information or the solution that Project Eagle actually delivers. We'll talk about it in the strategy that we believe Peter Obi and all opposition candidates must implement to make sure we rescue and take back Nigeria in 2027. It's beyond, it's not about fighting Tinubu, it's beyond Tinubu. We have to take back our country. So that strategy, what exactly is it? Let's talk about it in the next video.